Hi, it's Lou from Christian Faith and Fiction. Today I want to look at some books that are new releases that are coming out in May that have been listed as Christian fiction. So as always, I will say a disclaimer at the beginning of this. I haven't read these books, so I can't tell you what the content is like, whether there is any Christian content in there or whether there might be anything that's problematic. Just to add in here, there are a couple of books that I didn't include in the list. That's because they are later books in a series where I DNF'd the first book due to something in the content. I've grouped these into different genres. So in Mystery and Suspense, Secondary Target by Angela Carlisle releases on the 7th of May and is published by Bethany House. After the brutal murder of her mother and brother 12 years ago, Karina Roberts built a new life in Kentucky. But then strange things begin to happen, and she is thrust into a perilous game of life and death. With nowhere else to turn, her best hope of survival depends on her ex, Army veteran Bryce Jessup. Recently returned from service, Bryce has every intention of staying away from Karina, but when threats close in around her, he isn't willing to leave her safety to chance. As their search for answers uncovers lethal secrets her detective father kept hidden, Bryce and Karina must untangle the mystery of the merciless killer intent on terrorizing and eliminating Karina's family before it's too late. Searching for Evidence by Carol J. Post releases on the 21st of May and is published by Love Inspired Suspense. With his canine partner's help, can he save an innocent life? Canine officer Jared Miles stumbles upon a crime scene on his day off and believes Cassie Ashbow is the victim of a random attack. However, as threats on her life continue, he realizes that Cassie is in grave danger. Her father's abandoned boat suggests foul play, and Jared suspects someone is after Cassie for something her missing father is hiding. Can Jared unravel the mystery before unknown enemies catch her? Hidden Mountain Secrets by Kerry Johnson releases on the 21st of May and is published by Love Inspired Suspense. A mysterious death, a secluded mansion. This investigation could be fatal. Antique dealer Brielle Holt uncovers more than just priceless relics when she overhears a secret that puts a target on her back. Caught in the crosshairs of a deadly family feud, Brielle has nowhere safe to hide until CSI agent Lucas Scott steps in to protect her. With assailants following their every move, Lucas and Brielle must stay one step ahead of someone desperate to hide the truth and bury them with it. Kidnapped in Montana by Sharon Dunn releases on the 21st of May and is published by Love Inspired Suspense. A case of mistaken identity leads to a lethal wilderness chase. Believing he's tracked down his missing informant in a gem smuggling investigation, FBI agent Ryan McLeod unwittingly leads deadly assassins to Catherine Reed's mountain hideout. As the informant's identical twin and already hiding from her abusive ex-husband, Catherine now has two threats to her life. With danger at every turn, can Ryan protect Catherine and find her missing sister before it's too late? Shielding the Innocent Target by Terri Reid releases on the 21st of May and is published by Love Inspired Suspense. A child under his protection and a hitman in pursuit. After witnessing her boss's murder, Paige Walsh must trust Deputy U.S. Marshal Lucas Cavendish to bring her to safety. But when a notorious assassin targets her and her son, Lucas's short-term assignment turns into a dangerous cross-country mission. For Paige to identify her boss's killer, Lucas must get the family into witness protection, except the hitman knows their every move and trusting the wrong person could get them killed. And Chasing Justice by Valerie Hansen releases on the 21st of May and is published by Love Inspired Suspense. A man falsely accused. Can a K-9 unit dig up the truth? While escorting a prison van transporting her ex-boyfriend who was wrongly convicted of murder, Deputy Selena Smith never expected the van to be violently forced off the road. But when she and Finn Donovan are attacked, Selena and her K-9 partner become his unlikely protectors. With gunmen closing in, they must hunt down the real killer, but will the truth free an innocent man or make them the next victims? In historical fiction, When Hope Sank by Denise Weimar releases on the 1st of May and is published by Barber, some editions may be published on the 30th of April. Can hope resurface after evil tries to drown it? The Civil War has taken everything from Lily Livingston, her parents, her twin brother, her home. Now she works at her uncle's inn and keeps her head down. Speaking up for her beliefs proves too costly in a part of Arkansas split by conflicting loyalties and overrun by spies and bushwhackers. Emaciated in body but resilient in spirit, Lieutenant Cade Palmer is crowded onto the Sultana with other paroled Andersonville and Cahaba POWs for the journey north. But a fiery explosion on April 27, 1886 rends the steamer and empties 2,000 men into the frigid Mississippi River. Recovering from wounds that might end his career as a surgeon, but clinging to his faith, Cade threatens both Lily's defences and her heart. How can she tell him she might have prevented the tragedy if only she'd reported a suspected saboteur's claims? And when the man returns to town and encoded messages pass through the hotel, will Lily follow her convictions to prevent another tragedy? The Girl from the Hidden Forest by Hannah Linder releases on the 1st of May and is published by Barber. Again, some editions may be published on the 30th of April. Eliza Ellis has stayed hidden in Balfour Forest for as long as she can remember. Perhaps her only friends are the trees, or her little dog, or her storytelling father called Captain. But at least she is safe from the cruel world outside, a world Captain has warned her against and protected her from. That is, until a handsome stranger named Felton Northwood invades her quiet forest and steals her away. Why does he tell such lies? Why does he insist that her name is Miss Eliza Gillingham, daughter of a viscount who disappeared 14 years ago and after the murder of her own mother, a murder Eliza is said to have witnessed? When Felton returns Eliza to Monbury Hall and reunites her with a man who is told to be her father, all she remembers are the strange nightmares that have plagued her since childhood. Why have they suddenly grown worse? Are the answers hidden inside her own mind? As danger mounts and lethal attempts are made on her life, Eliza and Felton must work together to uncover the identity of a killer who has stayed silent for 14 years. When she finally uncovers the horrendous memories trapped in her mind, will divulging the truth cost her the man she loves and both of their lives? The Song of Sourwood Mountain by Anne H. Gabhart releases on the 7th of May and is published by Ravel. While the century began with such promise, it is 1910 when Myra Dean's hopes of being a wife and mother are dashed to pieces. Her fiancé dead from tuberculosis, Myra resigns herself to being a spinster school teacher until Gordon Covington shows up. No longer the boy she knew from school, Gordon is now a preacher who is full of surprises. First he asks Myra to come to Sourwood in eastern Kentucky to teach at his mission school. Second he asks her to marry him, just like that, and all at once the doors that have seemed firmly shut begin to open just a crack. With much trepidation, Myra steps out in faith into a life she never imagined, in a place filled with its own special challenges, to serve a people who will end up becoming the family she always dreamed of. For a Lifetime by Gabrielle Meyer releases on the 7th of May and is published by Bethany House. Grace and Hope are identical twin sisters born with the ability to time-cross together between 1692 Salem, Massachusetts and 1912 New York City. As their 25th birthday approaches, they will have to choose one life to keep and one to leave behind forever, no matter the cost. In 1692 they live and work in their father's tavern, where they must watch helplessly as the witch trials unfold in their village, threatening everyone. With the help of a handsome childhood friend, they search for the truth behind their mother's mysterious death, risking everything to expose a secret that could save their lives, or be their undoing. In 1912, Hope dreams of becoming one of the first female pilots in America, and Grace works as an investigative journalist, uncovering corruption and injustice. After their parents' orphanage is threatened by an adversary, they enter a contest to complete a perilous cross-country flight under the guidance of a daring French aviator. The sisters have already decided which timeline they will choose, but an unthinkable tragedy complicates the future they plan for themselves. As their birthday looms, how will they determine the lives and loves that are best for them both? Darkness Calls the Tiger by Janyre Tromp releases on the 14th of May and is published by Carlisle Publications. My adopted people have a story, a legend, that speaks of a time so dark the sun will turn his back on the mountains and swallow the moon. It is then that the Shiloh, the tiger man, will come prowling, exacting revenge on the darkness. But there is no great darkness in me or my world. It isn't always comfortable, but it has always been predictable, until the soldiers came. A handful of months after the attack on Pearl Harbor, missionaries Kaylin Moran and Ryan James face a brutal Japanese attack on their village high in the mountains of Burma. After the land of the rising sun devours almost everything she loves, Kai vows to hunt down those responsible, even if it means she must become the legendary Shiloh. When the Japanese put a price on her head, Ryan fights to protect Kai from the path of revenge, but only she can choose to turn away from the call of the darkness. To Catch a Coronet by Grace Hitchcock releases on the 21st of May and is published by Carlisle Publications. Sometimes the only way to outsmart a scandal is to find a crown big enough to silence it. Muriel Bow, country baker turned heiress, can't stop instigating outrage. She discards 2 arranged engagements, then further antagonizes in Kent society by publicly proposing to a baron at a ball. His rejection leaves her with no choice but to flee to the city and to secure a coronet so splendid that her peers will forget her debacles. The glitter of the London courts convinces Muriel that it's possible to find the future she dreams of until she finds herself entangled in yet another escapade, one that may cost her more than her crumbling reputation. After years of serving as a privateer under an assumed name, Captain Eric Draycott, heir to Draycott Castle and soon to assume his uncle's title of Earl, returns to his London home to find it in disrepair thanks to his long-time nemesis. A staunch bachelor intent on returning to his ship, the captain now finds himself in dire need of a wife. But while his pauper status causes the potential London brides to turn their noses up at him, the captain is shocked when his mentor encourages him to retire and take a wife. But while his alleged pauper status causes the potential London brides to turn their noses up at him, the ladies of Kent have no such qualms and are eager to fill his coffers with their father's wealth. When he encounters the unconventional Muriel Bow and she becomes embroiled in his risky undertaking, Eric is torn between staying put to protect his enchanting country lady and heeding the call of the high seas. With Each Tomorrow by Tracie Peterson and Kimberly Woodhouse releases on the 21st of May and is published by Bethany House. As the formation of Glacier National Park takes Eleanor Briggs and her conservationist father on a journey west to advocate for public lands, her heart carries the weight of a painful past. Since the death of her mother, she has spent her life travelling the country with her father and helping him with his work, but now he's considering settling down and writing a book, and she's not sure what that means for her future. Carter Brunswick faces trials of his own when the Great Northern Railway's departure threatens his family's livelihood and the entire town of Kalispell. In the visiting conservationist's daughter, Ellie, he finds a spirited woman who challenges his convictions in ways he never anticipated, and his own dreams for the future begin to change. When tensions over the railroad's departure boil over, Ellie and Carter are drawn together on a daring journey that tests the depths of their feelings and their faith in God. In contemporary romance, A Run at Love by Toni Shiloh releases on the 7th of May and is published by Bethany House. As a black woman in a field with little diversity, Piper McKinney is determined to make her mark on the horse racing world. Raised on a thoroughbred farm in Kentucky, Piper's dream is for her horse to win the prestigious Kentucky Derby. With the help of her best friend and trainer, Tucker Hale, she gains national attention but must grapple with the complications that arise when a journalist delves into her past as a transracial adoptee. In an effort to win Piper's heart, Tucker formulates a plan to train Piper's horse to victory, hoping to prove himself to her, her parents, and his own self-doubts. Then a shocking scandal hits the media, implicating both Piper and her parents, and she and Tucker will have to survive the onslaught to find their way to the winner's circle and each other. Loyally Luke by Pepper Basham releases on the 14th of May and is published by Thomas Nelson. A flannel-wearing man's man inexplicably finds himself living out all the rom-com movie tropes as he falls in love with a true blue princess. Luke Edgewood isn't a romantic, or at least he's always felt certain things like rom-coms were invented as punishment for average guys. Besides, he's always preferred to be a behind-the-scenes guy who lives a quiet life being a good friend, neighbour and brother. So when he travels to the island of Weimar to work a few months on restoring abandoned buildings, he never expects to find himself directly in the middle of a romantic trope-filled story. From a meet-cute that was anything but cute, and an aging orphanage in need of as much tender care as the children it houses, Luke begins to wonder if he and his heart may be victims of some sort of hidden camera movie moment. Only a few years out of university and attempting to find her feet in royal adult life, Aliana Rosalind St. Clair, youngest daughter of the King and Queen of Skymarian Islands, pours her energies and talents into charities and art throughout her beloved Skymar. Her parents do not seem very interested in her love of interior design, but lavish her with praise over her support of Skymar's largest orphanage, and place her in charge of the renovations of the dilapidated building. Happy to escape her mother's strong encouragement of building a romantic relationship with Ali's lifelong acquaintance, the Earl of South Waith, she escapes to the secluded mountains to take charge of the orphanage's renovations. When Ali learns the man she'd literally run into at the coffee shop is the one who has been hired to help with the orphanage's repairs, she's determined to keep her royal status as secret as possible. From fundraisers to fake dates to sleigh rides and snowball fights, Ali and Luke begin to discover that the wrong first impressions may lead to a romantic possibility with rom-com flavoured magic included. But when Ali's true identity is revealed and royal expectations bring Luke out of his preferred anonymity into the spotlight of the royal life, will their budding relationship fall prey to a very unhappily ever after ending? Her Summer Refuge by Gabrielle Meyer releases on the 21st of May and is published by Love Inspired. She needs his help to start over, but can she earn his trust? Jobless and alone, mum-to-be Jessica Brooks returns to the resort she once called home, only to find the man she left a decade before. New owner Will Madden offers his pregnant ex a cabin, a job and a silent vow to keep his distance, but working together makes it impossible to stay away. As old feelings resurface, could they find the refuge they both need in each other? Her Son's Faithful Companion by Jill Weatherholt releases on the 21st of May and is published by Love Inspired. Her son needs love and friendship. Now she's found the answer to their prayers. Former barrel racer Caitlin Calloway wants her epileptic son to have everything, even if it means selling her family home. Problem is the place is in disrepair. Her former crush, service dog trainer Logan Beckett, offers to help, but letting Logan and his dogs into their lives makes the past almost impossible to leave behind, especially when it opens the door to love. Falling for Her Best Friend by Lisa Carter releases on the 21st of May and is published by Love Inspired. A friend's only pact until they say I do. 10 months ago, Molly Drake agreed to marry her best friend, but only to care for his infant son. Now Colton Atkinson is back from his army deployment to end their charade, until their hometown surprises the newlyweds with a calendar of romance. From date nights to family dinners, soon the couple's marriage of convenience begins to feel real, but will they risk their friendship for a chance at love? Love Overboard by Shannon Sue Dunlap releases on the 21st of May and is published by Craigle Publications. A snort-laughing cruise ship romance takes readers into topsy-turvy waters. When a group of 4 quirky friends retire on a never-ending round of cruises, their attire consists of more than floral shirts and gaudy skirts. Armed with walkie-talkies and battle plans, these relationship experts who've dubbed themselves the shippers target hostess Lacey Anderson and director Jonathan King in their romantic schemes. But the young couple refuses to cooperate. They've been on the love boat together before and it went down in flames. Boss matchmaker Emily Windsor has orchestrated multiple romantic successes, and these two upstarts certainly won't get the best of her. The chemistry between Lacey and Jonathan is obvious, but the couple rebuffs every outlandish plot and coincidental meeting, forcing the matchmakers to chart a new course to true love, all while inadvertently thwarting drug smugglers threatening to ruin their floating home on the ocean. Sunflower Farm's Redemption by Stacie Strong releases on the 21st of May and is published by Love Inspired. His return is a threat to her future and her heart. After leaving home a decade ago, Jesse Cooper returns with one goal in mind: to sell the family farm. But longtime manager Rose McFarland is not about to let the man who broke her heart risk her future. Working side by side for the Sunflower Festival, Rose sets out to prove Jesse can leave the property in her capable hands. But when forgiveness turns to love, will she convince him to stay? And then another book in the fantasy sci-fi, this more sci-fi genre, Lady of Basilicas by Ronnie Kendig, releases on the 21st of May and is published by Enclave. She is determined to prove this errant king unworthy. He is determined to prove her wrong. Under attack from without and within, Jericho teeters on the brink. Van Vaughan Thundered, suddenly in possession of a throne he never expected to inherit, will do anything to pull his kingdom from the edge, even if it means striking a marriage bargain with the formidable Farcris. But a skycrawler opens Vaughan's eyes to realities outside his world, and his limits are tested. Lady Valeriana has one goal when she's sent out from Devassoria: prove this Jerakan king, the one his people call the errant, unworthy of an alliance with any Farcris. When she exchanges her freedom for that of another, Valeriana finds herself under house arrest in the king's house. Determined to take advantage of her proximity, she delves into the depths of the king's character. What she finds turns her mission on its head. Vaughan must decide: break a planet-wide accord, risking his throne and life, or leave his country, his planet, vulnerable to threats far bigger than he ever imagined. And Valeriana grapples with unpalatable truths as she discovers the king is anything but errant, while her heart, on the other hand, is a different story. In biblical fiction, The Sisters of Corinth by Angela Hunt releases on the 21st of May and is published by Bethany House. When the new provincial governor arrives in Corinth, the esteemed chief magistrate, Narcis Ligus, is delighted. He sees a golden opportunity in the governor's presence, a chance to unite their households through the marriage of one of his beautiful unwed daughters to the governor's firstborn son. Such an advantageous union would surely bring divine blessings from the gods, propelling him to greater power and fortune. Yet complications quickly arise in Narcis's own family. Mariana, his stepdaughter, holds steadfast faith in Yeshua, rendering her hesitant to marry a man devoted to the Roman gods, despite Narcis's urging. On the other hand, Proma, his daughter by birth, yearns for a life of wealth and status, and is willing to go to great lengths to secure a marriage that fulfills her desires, even if it means betraying Mariana to do it. And finally, in contemporary fiction, Leaning on Air by Cheryl Gray Bostrom releases on the 7th of May and is published by Tyndale House. They last spoke as teens, but on a country road 12 years later, a surprise encounter reunites ornithologist Celia Burke with veterinary surgeon Burnaby Hayes, and they plunge into the most unusual romance of her life. After a decade of marriage, Celia and Burnaby have found a unique and beautiful rhythm. Then tragedy strikes while Celia hunts for the nest of a research hawk near the Snake River. Reeling with grief, she's certain Burnaby won't understand her anguish or forgive the choice that initiated it. She flees to kindness at a remote farm in Washington's Palouse region, where a wild prairie and an alluring neighbour convince her to begin anew. But when unexplained accidents, cryptic sketches and a mute little boy make her doubt her decision, only a red-tailed hawk and the endangered lives of those she loves can compel her to examine her past and reconsider her future. And The Road Before Us by Janine Roche releases on the 21st of May and is published by Revell. How far would you go to fix the mistakes you've made and regain the trust you lost? For Jade Jessup, the answer is 2,448 miles. Once one of Chicago's significant financial advisors, Jade lost her credibility when her fiancé and co-worker stole millions of dollars from their clients in a Ponzi scheme. Now she's agreed to help one of them, an aging 1960s Hollywood starlet named Bernice Benny Alderidge, seek financial restoration. Jade sets off along Route 66 with Benny and her handsome adult foster son, Bridger, who is filming a documentary retracing the 1956 trip that started the love story between Benny and her recently deceased husband, Paul. Listening to Benny recount her story draws Jade into memories of her own darker association with Route 66, when she was kidnapped as a child by a man the media labelled a monster, but she remembers only as Daddy. Together, all three of these pilgrims will learn about family forgiveness and what it means to live free of the past, but not before Jade faces a second staggering betrayal that changes everything. Those are the books that I could find that are listed as Christian fiction. Let me know in the comments which of those books sounds the most interesting to you. Okay, I hope that you're having a really great reading week and that God blesses your family this week. If you'd like to see any more of these sort of videos, you can watch these over here. Until next time, bye!